We are less than a week away. That was awful. Sorry for the people on the audio recording. We are less than a week away from the 53-man rosters, which means some people gonna get cut. We'll talk about who some of those players could be a little bit here on No Buts About It. What's up, everyone? It is Josh here from No Buts About It, and I'm not going to try to point this week. Last week I tried to point and I was wrong. It was Chus, and Chus pointed and he was wrong, and it just uploaded weird. If you want to go see a funny little thing, though, go watch last week's full episode. We tried to do the Brady Bunch boxes thing, and it did not work at all.
It's okay. Things happen, but we conquer everything that comes our way because we are no buts about it.
Facts. The people on the audio recording, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you can find those podcasts, you're going to get a little bit of an awkward start because I have to press these two buttons at the same time, and I choked when I said
Bro, really out here choking.
Welcome. Yeah, I literally choked. And it lagged in the video, but it didn't lag on the audio. So there's a bit of an awkward start, but that's okay. We're going to get through it.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First topic. Let's talk about the Steelers. I know I told you the opposite, but since it's fresh in our minds. It's fresh in our minds right now. The Steelers, you think they could be making some wide receiver moves? Potentially here as we get to the break line, we could see some cuts. We aren't going to go super in depth into who could be cut, who couldn't. There's still some preseason football to be played, but Chus does think the Steelers could make a move here. So, Chus, what do you think that move is?
Yeah, so one of the big things that's going on right now is a rumor, which is most likely kind of moving in that direction. We were trying to figure out who our wide receiver 2 was going to be. And I think it's going to end up being none other than Gabriel Davis, who has been rumored to have been wide receiver 2 for a very long time at this point within the Steelers rumor mill over the past summer, earlier in the months this year and whatnot. It was looking towards Gabe Davis. And he's made his second visit to Steelers, to the Steelers organization. I don't know if it's at camp. I don't really know where exactly he's been making these visits at, but he's been making visits to Pittsburgh, we'll just say. And I believe he is probably gearing up to be signed very, very soon, which would leave up a lot of questions for who the wide receivers for the Steelers that are left, who would get cut. Because the problem is although the Steelers have no wide receivers, believe it or not, we do have a lot of wide receivers. It's one of those questions where it just feels like we have so much of this position, but they're just not, none of them are amazing, I guess is the best way to put it, other than DK. The rest of them are good or very good. But for a wide receiver too, you want somebody that's going to be great. You want a solid wide receiver too. I mean, you're not expecting no Jamar Chase, T Higgins kind of combo or a, I guess, arguably maybe not as great as it once was, but Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, or once again, maybe arguable now, but Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But we'll get into that a little bit later on the show. But one of the things that it leaves up a huge question is who's going to get cut from the Steelers 53-man roster when it comes to wide receivers. It's kind of hard to tell, but if Gabe Davis gets signed, I think one of the big guys that got signed that a lot of people forgot about that we did sign just because he hasn't really been doing a whole lot during preseason, hasn't been really been talked about much. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, I think he's the big guy that, although is on the roster, is probably just never going to see the light of day, which is sad because he did have a pretty decent career when he was younger, but he just hasn't really panned out over the last couple of years. And I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster. The problem with, I didn't know if he was going to make it or not. I just can't see it happening because Roman Wilson is also could possibly fill that role with a wide receiver 2. And even if he's not, he could be wide receiver 3. And especially with Gabe Davis going in there, it'd be probably Gabe Davis at wide receiver 2 and him at wide receiver 3. You have Calvin Austin III as well that you could mess around with, that they're probably not going to let go. Some people are arguing that maybe he gets let go and Robert Woods stays, but I think he would probably stay over Robert Woods just because of the age. On top of that, you could use him for kick returns as well. So I feel like he's more of a versatile player. Same thing with Skowronek. I think he's also a very well-rounded player that could be used for punt and kickoff returns as well. So it's going to be weird to see. I mean, there's obviously going to be some wide receivers. Maybe Calvin Austin or Skowronek does get cut over Robert Woods, but I don't see that being possible. I think it's going to be Robert Woods. That's just my prediction, especially if we get Gabe Davis. Now, if we don't get Gabe Davis, then it might be arguable that we keep some other wide receivers and we just move some of the other like wide receivers 6th, 7th, 8th on the depth charts just to our practice squad and we're back to normal. But it's going to be weird. It's definitely going to be weird. I mean, when it comes to quarterbacks, though, I mean, Woodside's gone. Skylar Thompson's probably going to get practice squatted, and our 3 are going to be Howard, Rudolph, and Rogers, I imagine. But it's going to be interesting, though. I think Steelers eyes are going to be on the Steelers org coming up here. See what they do with Gabe Davis. I didn't really watch too much of the preseason game. I have had the opportunity to work some of the games, so I don't really have time to watch them because I'm interacting with fans. And
you're a man of the people.
I am a man of the people. Yes,
you're a man of the people. You can't focus on what's going on down at the field. You're busy,
yeah. So
making sure people have a good.
You can see the game 90% of the time. The one thing I will complain about with the game, I mean, I heard Jack Sawyer did really good, which is always exciting because that means our defense is just going to be unbelievable, and I'm very excited to watch them play this year. But one of the things that I was really upset about, according to my mother, shout out to Chus's mom, but she was watching the Steeler game, and whenever I came home, she was telling me that, the Steelers, she was really upset because they cut to commercial. KDK cut to commercial, came back, and they had said over the announcement, we know that we're cutting back in, but Ben Sauls just missed the field goal. And it was and that was it. No replay, no watch, no anything. And I just figured that was a pretty big mistake for a big TV company.
Hey, so it's preseason for them too.
I get it, but still very, very big L. Thankfully, I mean, even if it was a missed field goal, I still would have liked to have seen it. But kind of upset that Ben Sauls did miss it, though, just because I'm a big Ben Sauls guy. He was from Pitt, and he was a really good kicker at Pitt back in those college days. He really carried us a lot in some of those games with the extra points and the field goals and whatnot. And, I was sad to see him miss the field goal, but there's no recollection of it because it wasn't on TV.
Did not happen.
But he'll probably
if it's not on TV. It didn't happen.
He's not gonna get the spot over Boz, but I mean, yeah.
Any rumors of a missed field goal are lies. Just didn't happen. But I do think wide receiver wise, looking at Robert Woods. So like if you're in a situation where it's Robert Woods or Calvin Austin III, I do think you take Calvin Austin III if you're the Steelers, because the Steelers are a team that has shown that they value loyalty. They value people who have been there for a while, and Calvin Austin III fits into that kind of mold over Robert Woods, who was just signed out of free agency this season. Is Robert Woods more experienced? Yes. Is he arguably better at some things? Yes. But I do think that the Steelers value that loyalty, that hard work, that, grind effort mindset that I think Calvin Austin III has shown as well. And like you said, he can be used on special teams as well, which is a huge benefit. That's something that a lot of teams look at for their backup wide receivers and their backup safeties and DBs is, can they be used on special teams? And Calvin Austin III is able to be used on that. Same with Ben Skowronek, which Ben Skowronek hasn't been there as long as Calvin Austin III, but he has been there longer than Robert Woods. So I don't know. I'm looking here on ESPN's depth chart, and they currently have Robert Woods listed as a starter.
I was gonna mention that. I don't really know how that would change, just because the two people on the chopping block right now for the Steelers that a lot of people have talked about is Calvin Austin and or Robert Woods. And the thing that kind of brings up that question is, if they're both slated to be starters, which one would you let go? And I feel like the Steelers would be more likelier to let go of Robert Woods, like we've talked about. But obviously, I mean, they could keep both of them. Theoretically, if they really wanted to, they could also do that and bring in Gabe Davis. Now, I don't think that they should, because then wide receivers like Roman Wilson, Skowronek, and Scotty Miller are just never going to see the field. But
Is Scotty Miller safe, though?
Is Scotty Miller safe? I think that he could be, theoretically, if they decide to use him on more of like another one, like a Skowronek type role. But I feel like he may not be safe either if they keep Robert Woods. Like, if they keep Robert Woods, I feel like Scotty Miller would still be like a taxi squad type guy. But I don't know. They'd probably, I feel like, full out release him to an extent at a point as well. But I don't know. I don't think he's safe. But I think the only wide receivers that are safe, in my opinion, are DK and Roman. I feel like any of the other ones could be a real big surprise, because I feel like something could happen where Gabe Davis does get signed, and then they're like, all right, we don't need Calvin Austin the third anymore. And you're like, oh, okay. And it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And I don't want that to happen, because like I said, Calvin Austin the third is let me check, how old is he? He's 26. He's still relatively younger, especially like compared to Robert Woods, who is 33. So it's a little younger of a guy. You know, Robert Woods is getting up there in age. He does bring that veteran experience that we've talked about, but still, kind of a weird question. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate, just because I wish that we could kind of have like a set two wide receivers where I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be Scary Terry and DK Metcalf, or George Pickens and DK Metcalf, or Roman Wilson, big breakout wide receiver, going to be wide receiver 2. But unfortunately, I don't know what it's going to be. It might be Gabe Davis, which I honestly don't know how to feel about that, just because Gabe Davis is when he was with the Bills, he was just very, he's not a bad wide receiver. He's just very inconsistent. Some games you see him a lot, and then there's other games where you don't see him at all. And that's the problem that I have.
You're guaranteed 1 30-point week of fantasy football.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis, though.
He 12 receptions, 163 yards, and 4 touchdowns is going to happen. But then the other games, he might get 2 catches for 24 yards, and that'll be it. And maybe that helps. Maybe that works. But, I mean, you're going to be, I kind of want more production from a wide receiver.
I do think that that at least, like, defenses have to respect him, because he does have that potential. So you do have to game plan for him to that extent. So that could be something that they look at as well. Even if he's not always getting the ball, he's going to at least attract the occasional double team, which could help other guys get open as well.
It's like DK, because the thing is if Gabe Davis does end up doing well, like that could be beneficial, because then eventually, if Gabe Davis has a huge game that we've talked about and he ends up blowing up, and you're like, oh shoot, like that's crazy. And then they're going to double team him or do a different coverage the following week for the other team. And that's going to leave maybe possibly DK Metcalf more wide open, or more of a tight end running back, whatever you want to do. I don't know what the heck they're going to do with the running backs, because I didn't see how Caleb Johnson did this week, but I know he did not do real good last week, which is kind of concerning, because people are already comparing him to Najee 2.0, which is always a fun comparison. But yeah, we'll see.
I still don't know if Najee is actually healthy. I feel like
I thought he played last week. I thought he played.
Did he play last week? Okay.
I think so. I thought they said he was going to return from injury. I don't know though for sure. I thought I didn't watch the game. Like I said, I didn't really watch a whole lot of games. I did tune in though on the Bengals game at one point. I don't really remember. The only thing I remember from the game, just because I was flipping back and forth, the one play that I saw was when it was 4th and 3. And you guys went for it, and then Washington went off sides. So that was a cool play. That was the only play. That was the only play that I pretty much saw this entire weekend, was that play. So
that was a good snap out of Mr. Burrow. But yeah, I don't know here. I'm trying to find if Harris did play. Anyway, he was a participant in drills on Tuesday.
So he didn't probably
last Tuesday.
Okay.
But anyway, let's stick on the wide receiver train.
Yes.
And we're gonna head head up to Minnesota. Shout out Chris Vikings 30. He comments quite a bit under the videos. He was talking some smack as well, which I like.
On who? Who?
I believe on me, which understandable.
Yeah, what were you doing, Josh? What were you saying? Were you saying that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins was a better duo than JJ Jetplane and Jordan Addison?
I mean, I would say that. That's not what I was saying, but I would definitely say that.
It's arguable.
JJ Jetplane.
Yeah, JJ Jetplane.
No, he was saying that week 3 we are going to get smacked by the Vikings, and so
the thing I will say, the only thing that I'm just interested to see with the Vikings is just how they orchestrate with JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy might throw for 500 yards week 3.
I mean, he could. I mean, the thing is like, I mean, he's a good. I mean, we have to see how well he plays, though. I mean, I'm expecting big things from him, but like, you may not get the same stellar season that you could have. I don't know what's going to happen with the Vikings. I think it's a very much uncertain year. I think it's a promising year, but I hate to be that guy. Sorry, the Viking. What's his name? Vikings fan.
Chris. I believe it's Chris Vikings 30. His name's Chris for sure. I know
Chris
that
Vikings 30.
He's a fan of the show. Good guy.
Yeah, I'm glad he's a fan of the show. I feel bad now looking back on it. I did text, which I haven't announced it yet, but because we're not doing that a part of the show this week. But like for my predictions, my playoff predictions as of August 20th, I actually had the Vikings as an outside 3 pick. So that means that I would have them as a 9 seed. So
I thought you were about to like have some breaking news. Like
no. It's I had them as an outside 3 just because I was unsure of how JJ and no Addison or how JJ will perform and no Addison and such. But
we got no Addison. Let's talk about no Addison.
Yes, let's talk about it. I mentioned it earlier. Jordan Addison, former Pitt wide receiver with Kenny Pickett, also wide receiver USC, drafted by Vikings, now is suspended for how long is it, Josh? Can you please give us a time frame of his suspension?
3 games, which means he will be out versus the Bengals, Chris.
which is a pretty big loss, all things considered. You only relying heavily on Justin Jefferson, so hopefully.
But I hope he watches this episode because he's fun to interact with. Anyway, so, there's been these trade rumors, though, of who could the Vikings go after to replace Jordan Addison week 3. Because, yes, it's only 3 games. That's easy to say. However, it's 3 games in the NFC North, which I think should concern and does concern a lot of fans to an extent. Because let's remember, the Vikings went 14-3 last season and didn't even win their division.
Right, which is insane to consider. That's why the NFC just in general, like when we have this discussion about our predictions of how everything's going to go this season, the NFC is just so all over the place. I feel like the AFC is going to be pretty consistent to what it was last year, maybe 1 or 2 sneak-in teams and such. But I think you would have to agree that the NFC is just such a toss-up when it comes to all these teams because they're all pretty good.
Right.
And I mean, even like the wild cards that we talked about, like that are possibly this year. I mean, good. Like, I mean, even last year, the Vikings were the 5 seed as a 14-3 team. And then the Buccaneers were 9-8 or 10-7 as the 4 seed. That's so awesome. But yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings or not the Vikings, the Packers went 11-6 in the NFC North and they were 3rd. So let's say all things remain the same from last year. But the Vikings add on 3 losses because they don't have Jordan Addison. They would then go 11-6, which would put them at 3rd in the division, assuming all things are the same, or tied for 3rd, depending on how the Packers actually end up doing. But that could be enough to make them miss the playoffs, these 3 games. So I think the Vikings are going to have to bring in some help to some extent. And I think Kevin O'Connell knows that, especially with basically a rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. You have Ty Felton. Ty Felton, he could be great. This could be his opportunity. I hope he does great. I'm excited for him. You have Jalen Naylor, but you don't have that guy. That's kind of what we're talking about with the Steelers. You don't have that certified wide receiver 2 for 3 games, and that kind of opens up defenses to cover Justin Jefferson a little bit more, unless Felton just balls out week 1 or something. But
right, possible.
Where we're at right now, I've seen people say that the Vikings should trade for Terry McLaurin or Tyreek Hill. And I disagree. I do not think they should do that. Because
what?
what? because
For what reason?
I read this CBS News or sports opinion article, and this guy was arguing that the Minnesota Vikings need to bring in these two. They need to bring in a veteran wide receiver who is on the trade block, which Tyreek Hill's been rumored to be on the trade block. You obviously Terry McLaurin has requested a trade. I don't think they should do that because yes, would the Vikings probably be automatic Super Bowl champions if you did that? Probably, but then they'd also be playing. You want to talk about the Bengals paying their wide receivers too much money? They've already extended Addison. You've already extended Justin Jefferson.
The problem that I have with that, for one, is it would pretty much be a rental. I mean, Terry's not going to be happy with a trade to the Vikings because he knows that he's probably not going to get wide receiver 1 or even wide receiver 2 money possibly at that point, for that matter. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 role. So he's going to just have to accept the role that he has this season of just being a rental. Tyreek Hill, once again, same thing. I mean, I don't know what his contract is like, but I know he's just going to be disgruntled because he's going to be probably where do you put him? Because then at that point you move Jordan Addison to 3. I mean, it's a weird version of what the Packers were dealing with for a while, where it's you have 3 very good wide receivers with Dobbs and all those guys, and you're just kind of where do they all mix in? Christian Watson, and you're just kind of oh, this is really interesting, but they don't need all. I mean, Houston's another great example. I mean, yeah, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, plus all these other, and you're where are you going to fit all these guys? And now it's different now. Stephon Diggs is no longer down there and stuff, but nonetheless, I don't think that that's a logical thing. Why aren't they running with Jalen Naylor? What is the reason for no Jalen Naylor? He has had some decent games when Addison hasn't played. 2022 pick a couple years ago. I mean, he's in his 3rd year. Why don't you use him as a wide receiver 2 for a little bit?
He's got some injuries. Okay. Let me see if there's an update here. But I know he was injured.
Makes sense. Yeah.
He hurt his hand, which is kind of important.
Which is not helpful.
But
definitely need a hand.
He's week to week. He hurt his hand and joint practices with the Patriots. But I think that they want that, kind of just guy that they know they can trust. Mm-hmm. And yes, Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, would they fill that role? Yes. Would it be overkill? Absolutely. So I have two other options that I think. One of them's a bit more. One of them I think is a bit more concrete, a bit more likely, and that's I'm bringing back Adam Thielen. If I'm
heck yeah, that's a great pull, but you have to. He's still in Carolina, right? He hasn't left Carolina. Okay, so the one thing that you have to understand with this move though is, would Carolina be willing to do that despite Adam Thielen's age? They would have to bring back some sort of, because I mean, isn't it who's their wide receiver 1? Is it still Thielen? Did they just draft somebody?
They have Ted McMillan. Okay. Then they have Xavier Legette.
Okay.
And I always say wrong.
Yeah. And then
Thielen. But
Jonathan Mingo.
They don't have Mingo anymore.
What? They cut him? Oh wait, he's in Dallas now, I think.
I believe so. They do have Hunter Renfrow though. Who I'm not saying he's as good as Thielen, but you have Tet, you have Xavier, you have Chuba Hubbard had a breakout year last year.
He did. He's going to be good.
You've got Rico Dowdle now. Who knows what Jatavian Sanders? I don't know that we've seen his full potential. if you're looking at rebuilding with a younger team in Carolina, trading Adam Thielen would allow you to do that because Adam Thielen's kind of old.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
you could move him, or I guess Renfro too. I know you're not as on with Renfro, but Renfro's also
You could move Renfro. I just think
like what, late 20s? Yeah, 29.
the Steelers they know, or not the Steelers, the Vikings, they know Thielen. They're familiar with Thielen. There are people in the building familiar with Thielen. Did he play with this current administration? No.
No.
But there are people in the building familiar with who Adam Thielen is. He's reliable. He's going to be good for those 3 games that you need him to be good. He's going to be reliable, and he's not going to cost an arm and a leg like some of these other guys are.
Which is true. I mean, you also have to think about that too. The value. I mean, you could probably get Thielen for like like a day 3 pick,
right?
If you really want it, like, because I mean, he's in his mid 30s. I mean, he's still producing well, but like, you could probably, yeah. I think that would probably make a lot of sense.
And if I'm the Panthers, like, I don't think I'm going to be competitive this year, to be honest. Like, yes, the NFC South isn't great, but I don't know that. Well, I don't think
arguably. I think that's arguable, but
okay. I don't think the Panthers are going to make the playoffs personally. And if
I don't either. We've already talked about this. I think they are going to be a lot better than you think. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Panthers, and I think that I don't think they're going to be great, but I definitely think they're going to finish second. I think they're going to finish second.
Do you think they're in a position though to say no to a extra day 3 draft pick?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I don't think so. But I'm just arguing the fact that you don't think Carolina's going to be good.
I don't
think everyone thinks that Carolina's going to have like 3 or 4 wins. Nah. It's going to be.
I think they're a young team with a lot of potential that is still figuring it out. But anyway, the other option I could see here is them trading another day 3 pick for a Bengals wide receiver. And I used Mitchell Tinsley just because he is, he should make the roster. Burrow wants him to make the roster. Burrow has said he wants him to make the roster. He had a phenomenal game against the Commanders, but also, it's the Bengals depth chart, the wide receiver room for the Bengals is insane. I mean,
right.
You've got Jermaine Burton's our wide receiver 4. You have Gesicki, who is a tight end, who's effectively another wide receiver. Like, a lot of these guys are good.
Is Yoshi Voss still on that team too?
Yeah. You have Yoshi, Charlie Jones. Like, you have good guys that just aren't going to see the field just because the way the Bengals offense works, it's so heavy into Jamar, and then you're heavy into Higgins and Gesicki now. And so your wide receiver 3 effectively becomes your wide receiver 4. So Bengals need assets. They need draft picks to fix this defense, whether it be next season. If they can somehow get a player for one of these wide receivers on defense, that'd be great. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could see the Bengals maybe trading one of their wide receivers for a draft pick to the Vikings. That is probably a little bit less likely because the Bengals do play the Vikings in that 3-game period. So they're not going to be willing to help them unless,
I mean, you got to keep the AFC North probably out of it just because even week 4 when Addison does come back, even if you're like, oh yeah, maybe the Steelers would give up one of their random wide receivers. I mean, that guy would still be playing week 4,
Right.
I think even if Addison's back. So
if I'm the Vikings, I'm making the call down to Carolina for this guy right here. Get him back 100%. In the purple. This jersey swap is insane though, right?
Yeah, I know. Dude, you're such a good editor. Why didn't you go into graphic design?
I know. Anyway.
The one thing I will say, though, is it's going to be some sort of nice homecoming for the fans, too, if Adam Thielen did go back to the Vikings. Because, yeah, you have to think about it. Even if he wasn't a huge, I mean, I don't know how big of an asset he was over the time that he was there. But I would say he was very well loved and well favored and such. And I'm sure a lot of Minnesota fans were sad to see him go. So having him come back, I know from just I know this is a completely different sport, but the Pirates, for example, the greatest team to ever touch a baseball bat, the Pittsburgh Pirates. We traded away Andrew McCutchen, who was the heart, love, and soul of the team during our 2010s playoff run. and we ended up trading him away. And then he ended up coming back a couple years ago, and fans were literally losing their minds over it because he was a staple during that time. He went away for a couple of years and then came back, and it was exciting. So I think in a similar sense, I think if Adam Thielen came back, I think a lot of people would be excited because it wasn't like he was a bad wide receiver, nor was he a bad wide receiver during this time either in Carolina. He was injured a lot, if I remember correctly, when he was in Minnesota. But when he is healthy, he is a very good wide receiver. So I think that's a good pull, Josh. I think that was a good pull by you.
Thank you. I know ball.
Yeah, you know ball. You do know ball, right? Except after week 1, if the Bengals win, then the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Then we have to reel you back in.
Hey, no, Bengals are the greatest offense in football. Let's talk about another offense that's not so great. And I want to get your thoughts because I feel like I've kind of made my thoughts known. I've got the winners and losers videos coming up. Those should be coming out Friday.
Okay.
I think for the Bengals and Colts.
Okay.
But the Colts have kind of already declared a winner this week. That's Mr. Daniel Jones. And everyone in Indiana cheered loudly because they were all so excited that this happened.
What do you mean? This is great.
I don't know a single
Indiana Jones? Are you serious? This is great. You could post those shirts everywhere. Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones, Indianapolis Colts, Indiana. You guys are in Indiana. So Indiana Jones. It just makes sense. You post that on shirts, it's going to sell well.
I don't know, other than Chus, I don't know a single person who was excited about this.
I mean, I
feel kind of bad for Daniel Jones because everyone, like, when they made the announcement, all the comments were just like, no. A bunch of our local sports reporters were like, I am not watching the Colts this year. And it was just like, it was bad.
The problem, I mean, I understand, though. I understand the problem with it, though. It's Daniel Jones did not do well when he was with the Giants. But do you think the Colts offense is in the same boat as the Giants offense? That's a big question. Because you have to look at it this way. When Sam Darnold played for the Jets, he showed strokes of light, okay? And then there was other days where he didn't. I don't think the offense for Sam Darnold was really that great during the time period in which Darnold was there. Darnold got moved. He went all over the place, whatever. He ended up being a backup in San Francisco, then started in Minnesota, had a crazy breakout year, and now is starting over in Seattle, which that's going to be very interesting. But the one thing that's very crucial to remember is that Minnesota offense was awesome. Like, you had great players, and that's always the argument with Brock Purdy too. Like, any quarterback, quote unquote, could have been put in that system and done well. Whether you believe it or not, I knocked over a can. But whether you believe it or not, that's how I look at it. So Daniel Jones's offense for the Giants was, I mean, the biggest player from that team, remembering correctly, was probably Malik Neighbors, at least last season. I mean, I know Saquon had his stint there a couple years ago, but, like, I mean, you could argue that too, but that was before Neighbors. But, like, do you think that Daniel Jones is so, because this is the thing that I think a lot of Colts fans are a little concerned. Like, I get it, but, like, do you think that he's worse than Gardner Minshew?
Do I think he's worse than Gardner Minshew?
Or do you think he's better than Gardner Minshew? Because Gardner Minshew also brought that team to a 9-8, one play away probably from making playoffs. I mean, is that team in the same boat that it was a couple years ago? No, maybe not. But, like, I don't imagine the offense has changed that drastically either.
No, but I think the defense has gotten worse. And so I don't know.
Do you rely more on Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson?
I'd say Daniel Jones and Gardner Minshew are probably in similar tiers, with Gardner Minshew having a better defense.
Okay.
And then also all the injuries. So now you're kind of relying more on Daniel Jones than you were on Gardner Minshew. And, people are going to, and we're going to talk about this here with Anthony Richardson as well. People are going to say, like, oh, well, change of scenery. It's just going to, it's going to make them better. But that's not what happened. I mean, the people that the players that people bring up every single time are Sam Darnold, like you did, Geno Smith, and Baker Mayfield. And I'm not saying you're wrong about Sam Darnold. Clearly, we saw what he did last year. But also, let's talk about what you said. What did Sam Darnold do? Sam Darnold went to the Panthers. Then he went, and he wasn't great. He wasn't great in Carolina. He did not just switch teams and go. He was great. Then he went to the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, great coach. Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, great offensive coach. Let's look at Baker Mayfield. Where did he go? He went to Carolina. Didn't do great. Ended up in the Rams system with Sean McVay. And Sean McVay, another great coach. Then he ends up going to Tampa Bay and doing a lot better. Geno Smith, similar kind of path. Yes, we didn't see him a lot. We didn't see them spend a lot of time on the field as starters, but they were in these systems with great offensive minds. I mean, I don't think Daniel Jones just coming from New York to Shane Steichen in Indianapolis is just going to automatically make him better.
I don't think so necessarily either, but you have to also kind of, because the thing is I look at it based on necessarily not change of scenery, but also the scheme that you're putting yourself in. I mean, Baker Mayfield, arguably, I think Baker Mayfield is a tough option to think, a tough option to compare, because I think Baker Mayfield is a lot better of a quarterback than the Browns.
I think he got screwed by Cleveland.
Yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns really screwed him over, because they genuinely, that Browns team would probably be in a much better shape right now. And this AFC North would be probably crazy if Baker Mayfield was still around, because they would actually be building a team around that guy. Because in Carolina, okay, yeah, whatever, but he did well in that Rams game and then has done well with Tampa Bay ever since. I don't think he was ever an issue. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith was never really a starter. He was always just kind of like a backup, if I remember correctly, most of the time. But I think I don't, the thing is depending on what kind of plays I think Indianapolis runs, I don't think Daniel Jones is the end of the world. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it really is, but I also, I mean, I don't like the idea of them giving up already on their I guess third overall pick or whatever it was, third overall pick. I don't like that. Fourth. Okay. Sorry. I knew he was top 5. I just didn't remember where, but I don't like that they gave up on him already. But I mean, teams have been doing that pretty regularly, as we've seen. I mean, some of them just don't pan out. I mean, Kenny Pickett did not pan out 2 years, and their first round draft pick is now bust. So he is now gone. You can go down the list of, all of these quarterbacks that I barely can remember their names from that draft class. But with Anthony Richardson, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see him start, but I wouldn't call it the end of the world. I don't know if it's the greatest move, but I don't know. Because I think what's going to end up happening with the Colts, which I'm a little scared at for any Colts fans out there right now, is I'm afraid for a quarterback carousel, which I think is going to happen in Atlanta this season. One. I know, but I think, but worse. You remember the Jets a couple of years ago when we were in school? Like, come on, dude. Like, it was freaking, I remember talking to Stan. It was like Mike White was freaking quarterback. Like, it's crazy pull.
I mean, so, okay. I think the only reason Daniel Jones won this spot over Anthony Richardson is because of consistency. I think Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling, but he doesn't stay up by the ceiling very often. Sometimes he drops to the floor heavily and very randomly. And so it just is annoying. Anthony's agent, and let me pull up my photo of Anthony Richardson so we can talk about this. Anthony's agent said that trust is a big factor, and that is at best questionable right now, referring to the Colts. He says Anthony came back and made the improvements in the areas he needed to improve, and by all accounts, he had a great camp, which is true. Sure. Okay, great. I don't think many people would disagree with that.
No.
But there were also multiple games where he would, first half, he looks great. He like, okay, yes, this is why we made you a fourth overall pick. And then in the next half, we're like, have you ever thrown a football before? Like,
we've talked about that with some quarterbacks before too. I'm pretty sure we had this conversation with Sam Darnold. We've had this conversation with this guy before.
It's like your consistency is an issue, and so I do think that's why Daniel Jones won the spot over. But do you think Anthony Richardson could go somewhere else? The Rams have been talked about as a possible with Matthew Stafford kind of battling some injuries,
Possibly,
and
yeah.
obviously being older. Do you think Anthony Richardson could eventually go somewhere else and be a starter, be that first top 5 caliber starting quarterback?
I think it's possible. The problem is arguably is that he just hasn't really had, I don't want to say like a chance, but like, I mean, his breakout rookie year, he looked like he was going to be good and then ended up being out for the rest of the season. And I was like, oh, wow, like that's unfortunate. And last year, he just did not look like the same guy that we saw, which you could argue a sophomore slump or whatever you want to argue, but he just didn't look as good as he should have been in comparison to year one. And now going into this year, he's not starting at all. So, I mean, it's one of those things where we may never see his full potential because they're not giving him the full potential to start. Over in Carolina with Bryce Young, he started and then wasn't doing well. Then they pulled him, put Andy Dalton in. Andy Dalton started winning games and they threw Bryce Young back in. Bryce Young kind of got his feet better and now looks a lot more competent of a quarterback than he did. Now, do I think he's going to be a superstar? No, probably not, but he's going to probably be at least decent. And it'll be interesting to see what they do down in Carolina. But when it comes to Anthony Richardson, I think he could, but I think a lot of times, I think the problem is a lot of times like these quarterbacks thrive in better schemes depending on where they're at. Like you can say, oh yeah, like this player just did better in this other scheme and whatnot. Yeah. And I think that that's true. And I think that maybe Anthony Richardson would play in a more, like under Sean McVay's offense or whatnot. Like it's possible, but you have to also consider the fact that since he's not really getting the chance to start, is that scaring teams away? Because he's not starting, if a team trades for him, like the Rams, are they going to trust him to start or be the future? Because they're like, well, we haven't seen too much of you. And the times that you did start, you lost your quarterback battle, you got hurt. Now your rookie season, you kind of got switched out a couple times in year two. Because like if I'm Sean McVay, like I'm going to be like, well, Anthony Richardson, a good quarterback too, but like I want to see what he can do during the season. And if he doesn't do well, you boot him. I mean, it was kind of what the Steelers did, but like they weren't investing in either. Like they brought in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And like, but I think he could, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they have a young guy. They have a young backup in Riley Leonard. If Anthony Richardson really believes, he firmly believes, which he appears to, that he should be a starter in the NFL,
then go to the Saints. Because the Saints just need quarterback, bro.
Here's the thing, though.
I don't think he would thrive there, though.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would thrive with the Saints because like I said with Daniel Jones, just changing scenery is not what made those other guys good. It was being under guys like Kyle Shanahan, like Sean McVay. I think the only opportunity that Anthony Richardson, as it stands right now, is going to have to, be this like, kind of refreshed, revolutionized version of himself. And again, he has all the assets. He just hasn't been consistent. Sean McVay, because Sean McVay has figured out how to kind of revitalize quarterbacks, work with different quarterbacks, play to their strengths. Are the Rams what they used to be? Not necessarily, but they still have Sean McVay.
And they do have pieces, though, that could work in the offense. That kind of honestly remind me a little bit of the Colts. I mean, you have Kyron Williams. He's not, I don't know if he's arguably better than Jonathan Taylor. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But okay, you have a running back like you have that wide receiver one, Michael Pittman Jr., Puka Nacua. Like, I mean, you have a similar offensive scheme, I guess you could probably say. You're not like going from like super like washed out or dried out wide receivers or anything like that. You still got, like, because like when we say with the Saints, you go down to the Saints, it's like Alvin Kamara's older, and then like it's like what, Chris Olave. Like
Chris Olave, they got it's
a tougher thing than like Puka Nacua, who's a star. Michael Pittman Jr. is a star. Like these guys are. So if AR was to go there, I think it would make sense. I was gonna mention. I'm not gonna mention this team anymore, but like, I mean, because I thought about it, but I was like, no, probably not a good idea. But I mean, if he wanted to get an opportunity to start, arguably at some point, he could go to the Raiders. Because, like, I mean, the Raiders are kind of building up their team because they have. Okay, so the reason that I thought about this was I was like, you have Brock Bowers, and now you have yes, Ashton. You have Ashton. You have Ashton at running back, and you have Brock Bowers, who was a weapon offensively last year. Your wide receivers are not all there yet. I mean, you have Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, and then Dante Thornton Jr. is listed as wide receiver 3. So, I mean, those are not strong wide receivers per se. But over there, I mean, their second string is Aiden O'Connell, and Geno Smith is already in his mid-30s. So he could get a arguable like a build around him. I think on an offensive perspective, I think they're in a better place than New Orleans.
I just feel like I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I feel like Aiden O'Connell would be more competition for Anthony Richardson than what he would see in Los Angeles. Because in Los Angeles, he's only competing against Jimmy Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett, assuming Matthew Stafford's gone.
All right, you think Stetson Bennett? He's not losing that. It's going to be Stetson Bennett all the way. Quarterback 1. When Matt Stafford, I'm playing right now.
I mean, Stetson.
He's a good quarterback.
I was going to say Stetson Bennett had a good. He's had a good preseason, but he's already 27. He's already 27.
That's why I said I was like, he's. It's sad because like he would have been such a good quarterback, but he played like 8 million years in college. So
I don't know. I feel like Aiden O'Connell is somehow more competition for Anthony Richardson than what Stetson Bennett and
right.
And that's not good. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing that we're talking about that like that right now. But ultimately, the Colts just need to tank and hope this guy declares for the draft.
I don't think he's going to declare next year.
Oh,
but
did you see like their statements on it though?
No, which ones? I heard that I don't think he's going to declare because I think they're going to want him to play one more year.
So Archie, his grandfather, famous Saints quarterback, said, "Hey, he's not declaring." And then Arch came out like a few weeks later and was like, "I have no idea where he got that from. I never said that."
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't.
We'll see.
I would prefer if he didn't. I think he should wait another year because then I think he could really. I think if he plays this year and does well, I think the next year he could probably do even better. Maybe win a Heisman, and then if he doesn't win one, I guess this year. But
it probably depends on how he's doing, and then who it looks like the first overall pick is going to go to, right? And if he wants to go to that team, which it could go to the Saints or the Colts, which would just be insane for the Manning legacy in either regard. You know, he could go to his grandfather's team, or he could go to Peyton's team, his uncle's team.
That would be kind of sick. I mean, why not? But that's also you have to understand that like we don't know though for sure.
No, we don't.
Because you also have to like looking at the these are the quarterbacks for next year, the top 10, the top from 10 up. You have John. I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I apologize if I say some of these names wrong, but you have John Mateer. Okay, for okay, hold on. Why is this being so stupid?
I mean, okay, we can go off memory here. We got
John Mateer. Okay, yeah. So so Arch Manning is your number 1 prospect. You have Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who's ranked 2. You have Cade Klubnik, quarterback Clemson, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, Drew Aller from Penn State, Nico Imaliva, UCLA,
who left Tennessee.
Sam Levitt, quarterback Arizona State, Carson Beck, quarterback Miami, Fernando Mendoza, Indiana, and then John Mateer from Oklahoma. And those are the top 10. Any one of those, I guess, could argue. We haven't seen college football play.
But Arch has the name, and that
Arch has the name, and
whether it should or not, that's going to go into.
Oh, and I think he's going to be a stellar quarterback, but I think that he should wait one more year because
if he shows any signs of being a good quarterback, he's going to
I know, but I think if he waited one more year, if he just waited one more year, I think that he would be able to come right out the gate and just literally be Jaden Daniels 2.0.
Yeah, but Mrs. Ursay may call down to Texas and say, "Please, Arch, please."
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. I
We'll
mean,
see. We'll see where
do,
they
do you think
land.
that do you think the Colts are tanking though? Think about it that way.
Not
And then they're
voluntarily.
and they're going to tank and then get rid of Anthony Richardson for trade value to
The Los Angeles Rams
stockpile. Yep.
calling it a year out right now.
Raiders is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, let's let us know what you think down below. Where will Anthony Richardson end up? There's just one final thing that I wanted to talk about before we head on out. We got about 10 minutes here.
Yeah,
And
I don't. Is this a player?
this, yeah.
Okay, who is it?
I mean, it's just like a Bengals thing, so you might not. Actually, he's visiting with you guys too.
Oh, very cool.
Dalton Risner, the Riz man himself. He's a guard. He visited with the Bengals. Supposedly had a very good visit with the Bengals, but is also visiting with the Steelers. Obviously played for the Vikings. He's the top available guard in free agency right now. I don't know if you guys need a guard, but I do know that the Cincinnati Bengals need a guard because in a similar move, this guy right here, as soon as this photo loads, he is now out for the season likely. He had shoulder surgery. This is, of course, Cordell Volson, who wasn't great, but he started 48 games for the Bengals. Would have been an okay depth piece, I think. Would have been a nice sixth man, seventh man, but he's out for the season. So the Cincinnati Bengals need a guard because Burrow's going to die. Lucas Patrick, as far as I'm concerned, should have been cut. I was high on Lucas Patrick, and then I watched him play against the Washington Commanders, and he was the right guard, and he somehow ended up on the left side, like he was pulling, but I don't even think he was pulling. And it just because it was a pass play, it was just a really weird situation. And then he just threw his hands up. Like there's literally a video of him throwing his hands up in the air, like surrendering. And Joe Burrow got sacked for like 11 yards. So fire him, bring in Dalton Risner for $3 million this year, and let's go win a Super Bowl. He should not have been allowed to leave Cincinnati without a contract in hand. But what do you think? I mean, why is he visiting with the Steelers? Do you think there's a reason that the Steelers could sign him?
I think it's just to add more to the line. I mean, I think our guards, our depth chart has Broderick Jones, Isaac holy crap, I am bad with names today. Cio Malo, I believe is how you say it. So Samalo, maybe. He's our guard. He's our left guard. Then Zach Frazier. Our right guard is Mason McCormick, and then Troy Faetanu is our right tackle. So he would most likely be filling in. Do we know if he played more left guard or right guard, or if he was just just general guard? He could play either side of the line.
I think so. He's been in the league for a while. He's around 30-ish years old, I believe. So I think he has played left side. I want to say, and this is off the top of my head, I want to say he plays right guard more, but that could be wrong. So don't.
Okay. I mean, because I think if they were to bring in him, I think it would probably be for the left guard spot, just because I feel like with the right, I feel like they're going to probably want to run with Mason McCormick just because he was one of our big right guards last year. But maybe I would be wrong. I imagine it would I don't know how they're going to work the line this year because I could see them picking him up just to use him as like a backup in the sense that like he will probably get rotated in and out of one of the guard positions. So like, for example, he might split time with like Mason McCormick or something. But I was just going to say Isaac Siamalo just because Isaac Siamalo only he's 31. So like he just has a little bit more of an age factor where Mason McCormick's 25. You might want to give him either more mentorship. You might want to give him more mentorship, which would be helpful, but I wouldn't want to bench Mason McCormick because he's a young guy and he could be a top lineman for us for like 5 or 6 years or so. But yeah, I mean, I could see them doing it to buff up the guard position, but I think you guys may need it more than we do, arguably.
Oh, I don't even think it's arguable. I think we definitely need it more.
I know, but somebody like a Steelers fan might argue that we need it. We need it very badly, which I don't think is true. But I guess it could be argued.
I mean, I guess anything can technically be argued, but yeah. Bengals should sign Dalton Risner right now. Some other quick extensions before we end the show here. Tyson Bagent got extended. Your boy, 2-year, $10 million deal, $16 million max.
Exciting.
And then Rob Gronkowski. Yeah, that's a name you haven't heard in a while. He is signing a 1-day contract to retire as a New England Patriot. So
that's fun.
That's cool. Good for him. Congrats, Gronk. You're my goat. Anyway, do you have any final things you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm content. I'm looking forward to the week that we decide to do the predictions for the season, because that's going to be exciting.
Okay. All right. Well, let us know what you thought about Jordan Addison, Daniel Jones, all those things below. Tomorrow, me and Chus will be interviewing Jesse James Taylor, who is an NFLPA certified lawyer. We tried to have this interview last week, and he had some things come up, so we had to reschedule. We'll be doing this tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Trey Hendrickson, Christian Wilkins, how NIL money has affected some rookie deals, and more. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that interview. I think that's going to be a really fun interview. We're going to learn a lot, especially about contracts and some of the language that goes into those from an NFLPA certified lawyer. So that should be a good interview. Seems like a fun guy so far. Talking with him.
Yeah.
So
excited for that tomorrow.
Chus will be there too. So
I will be there.
All the Chus fans, make sure you're
Chus fans, yeah.
But we do thank you all for coming to this show to visit us. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if not, thanks for stopping by anyway. Let us know what you think down below. Like I said, we got that interview with Jesse James Taylor coming up. And also, we got merch down in the description. Hard word to say. Anyway, yeah, so you can buy that. Buy a sticker, buy a hat, support the cause. We're trying to do some good things. And unfortunately, you need money to do good things. But until next time, for Chus, I'm Josh Butts. Go do something nice for someone.